where the condition itself is not enough.
Dear Mr. Massa, I'm just trying to mind my own business. What's the matter? It's just another day, another black king captured. I'm about to lose my brain, stuck inside this ghetto rapture. I got a lot of smoke. If you want it, you can have it. They want a hat trick, but this is black girl magic. Ain't talking about the kind that'll make you disappear, but I'm talking about the power of the melanin within. Ain't looking for trouble, but I'ma say this one time. I put two dukes up if you try to touch mine. We still want justice for Samir and Trayvon. You say you don't see color, but racism ain't blind. They targeting little kids whose skin look just like mine. So I'm paranoid, it's a war zone outside. And I'm a black queen, so if you ask me to step out of my car, you gon' have to snatch me. Cause I ain't going no damn well. Had to spend my whole life living unfair. Ancestors got my back and they right here. You can never understand, it's a nightmare. Living in my black shoes by the black rules. You can keep your handshake, I don't dap coon. The white man that go nuts if he can't shoot. But you all on his side like a damn fool. Make it make sense.
We are oppressed.
Queen.
We are exploited. We are downtrodden.
Make it make
We are
sense.
denied not only civil rights, but even human rights.
Ahmadiyyah.
So the only way we're going to get some of this
Ahmadiyyah.
oppression and exploitation
Queen.
away from us or aside from us is come together
Queens.
against the common enemy. Who taught you to hate the texture of your
Ahmadiyyah.
hair? Who taught you to hate the color of your skin?
Ahmadiyyah.
Parents, pay attention to the books, the school system, even to your little children. Lies mixed with wisdom. His skin too bright, so he was blind to the prison. My skin just right, so I collide with division. You trying to pray to God, but we tired of religion. No savior saving, we got to save our savings. We used to pay miss, how we gon' make the slave rich? But who's to blame, and tell me why you complaining? We need a team effort just to rule the nation. Like a bad relationship, missing communication. We missing moderation. They're trying to get a poison to my population. No reparations. I'm getting tired of Satan.
We are oppressed.
I'm
Queen.
getting tired of waiting.
We are downtrodden.
Queen.
We are denied not only civil rights, but even human rights.
Ahmadiyyah.
We get some of this
Ahmadiyyah.
oppression and exploitation.
All right. Hello, everyone. Thanks for tuning back in once again to the original Queen Ahmadiyyah Shakur show. I'm your host, Queen Ahmadiyyah Shakur, and this is your daily vitamins. So as you're coming in, please feel free to go ahead and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Be sure to click that notification bell and click the word all so you're notified each time the Queen Goddess goes live. Okay, so let's get ready to get black into it. Hey, Pearly. Juju is here. Jerome, okay, or Jerron. Pearly, Deronda. All right, Dangerous, We the People, Diane is here. Okay, let's get it popping, Pearly. Okay, so everyone hit that like button. I see you, Adwael. Okay, Black Butterfly, DJ Perkadelic. All right. I see you, Paul Parody, W. Jones, Alice, Glenda is here, Rita, all right, Chris B, Don't Need is here. Okay, so shout out to all of my loyal royals and everyone tuning into the Queen. And a big shout out to my moderators because y'all know they be putting in work. So we have a lot of receipts today. I don't know if I'm going to get through all of it, but we're going to try. Okay, so before we get started, let's have a brief word from my sponsor. Hey, Battle Axe at 12 Tribes. Likes up, everyone, please like and share. Thank you.
Do not buy 12 Tribes on Earth hair growth oil and hair magic elixir unless you want super healthy, gorgeous hair that grows. They have a whole line of amazing hair growth products, including hair growth leave-in conditioner spray, hair growth shampoo, hair growth spray, and hair growth butter. I'm starting to sense a theme here. They include quality natural ingredients. They smell amazing, and you can see the results for yourself. So if you're looking for healthy hair growth for your natural or relaxed hair, try 12 Tribes on Earth today.
All right, so don't forget you can purchase 12 Tribes Hair Oil at Etsy.com. Just look for Lisa Crafts. You can also find it at Walmart.com. And don't forget that she also sells beard oil. Okay, now, with that all being said, is Desmond in here? Hey, Infinite Vibe. Desmond, I need you to do me a favor. I need you to remind me that after I finish going through all of this, there's a video that I want to show you all. Okay, that's on my X account, how they did these black teenagers. Okay, so now with that all being said, Let's get into it because I really went digging. I went down a rabbit hole and I found out a bunch of stuff. Okay, so we're going to talk about it. First of all, I wanted to know about the racism in Frisco, Texas, because I know it's very racist. I've heard so. And I wanted to know about the racial dynamics, specifically with the Black students in the Frisco FISD, okay, which is the Frisco Independent School District. Okay, now, so here's what they say. This is what I found. Issues surrounding racism against Black students in Frisco, Texas, and within the Frisco Independent School District, known as FISD, focus on systemic disciplinary disparities, specific hate speech incidents, okay, and high-profile community tensions. Local data and civil rights investigations have highlighted several areas of concern. Now, I want you all to pay attention. The cards were stacked against Mello from day one. Okay? Now, with that all being said, they go on to talk about the Texas Education Agency, which is known as the TEA. They had an investigation done and they cited Frisco ISD for significant disproportionality, okay, in its disciplinary data. So they say the suspension rates, let's talk about that. Official reviews found that Black students, particularly Black males, okay, and those receiving special education services were suspended at higher rates than their white peers. Okay. Frisco ISD restructured its student management by implementing a restorative justice approach so they could try to focus on behavioral rehabilitation rather than strictly punitive exclusions. Okay, reported incidents of bias and hate speech. Here they talk about athletic slurs. During an 8th grade middle school football game, Black student athletes reported being targeted with racial slurs by opposing players, sparking local parent protest and internal district investigations. They talk about staff misconduct. An assistant football coach at Centennial High School resigned following more than 50 complaints. This is a coach. More than 50 complaints detailing racially charged threats and discriminatory language directed at Black and Hispanic players. Centennial, isn't that the school that Karmelo went to? Because Austin and Hunter went to Memorial. Administrative discrimination. Prior federal and state civil rights litigation advanced to trials regarding allegations of unlawful racial discrimination and retaliation by specific campus administrators. These are the officials at the schools. This whole place seems like it is full of racism and corruption. And then they bring up the broader community impact and high profile trials. Okay, so that's when they bring up Karmelo Anthony, the murder trial of Karmelo Anthony, a Black Frisco ISD student. Now, I want you all to pay attention because the fact that they're bringing up Karmelo Anthony's trial with this information that I researched lets you know that his trial was full of racism, okay? That there was a very serious racial aspect to the trial, even though they want to say it's not about race. It was always about race, okay? It was always about race, and they know it, but they want to act like we are the ones who just made it all up, just to paint a narrative, which is the opposite, because that's exactly what they did. Okay, so they talk about jury diversity concerns. Okay, the trial drew sharp criticism from civil rights advocates after a 12-person jury was finalized with no Black members following the prosecution's strike of 3 Black female educators. Outside extremism. Extremist groups and out-of-state provocateurs targeted the area online and outside of the Collin County Courthouse, generating massive spikes in digital hate speech and threats directed at local Black communities. Now, I want you all to pay attention because they kept saying on Fox News that, oh, there was diverse students that testified against him. Some of those students were Black. Well, yeah, some of them may have been Black, but the bottom line is, why did they testify? I'm sure they were afraid not to. Okay, please pay attention. Now, and you'll figure out a whole lot more as we go through these receipts. Okay, now, with that all being said, they say suburban isolation. So national coverage by platforms like the Griot highlight growing safety and systemic belonging concerns among Black families navigating predominantly white Texas suburbs. Okay, that's another strike that was against the Anthonys. They talk about the jury diversity. We already covered that. Okay, so I want you all to pay attention. But hold on, I'm going to show you a clip so you can see for yourselves just how racist these people are. Okay, I want you all to see this for yourself. Now, this happened at a Frisco, Texas City Council meeting. Now, this wasn't against Black people, though. This was against Indian American youth because they called out the racism. And where do you see what these white folk did right in their faces, honey? I mean, it's no shame in their game. They are absolutely racist. Let's get into it. Now, moderators, I need you all to be paying attention for the trolls. Okay, hold on. Let me read this chat and see if there's any hold on. Why do I have royals having to go in on the trolls? Moderators, you all need to be doing your job. Okay? You all need to be doing your job. Why am I banning trolls? Hold on, beloveds. That's right. It was rigged from the get-go. Now, we already know that the trolls are coming because I specifically put justice for Karmelo in the chat or in the title just so they would know that this channel is for Karmelo. Okay, in case they had questions. Okay, now with that all been said, Cali's Active said, I heard Frisco is a historical sundown town. It just might be. I mean, with all the racism they have going on there, I'd be surprised if they weren't. Okay. Hold on. I think I blocked Sergio, beloveds. Okay. Ha! We the people said troll patrol. Okay, now here, let's continue. So I want to show you all this clip, as I said, of how they were just blatantly so racist.
Everywhere I go, heads turning, looking at me like, whoa. I saw someone bring out an Indian flag.
I love poop, and I need it to smell more like poop so I can feel at home.
The blatant racism that was displayed quite literally 20 minutes ago.
Very saddening.
Because they feel uncomfortable seeing people that do not look like them.
They're just...
Now, let me just say this. The person you heard speaking at first, the one that held up the flag, that was not an Indian student. That was a Caucasian student mocking them. And did it right there in the city council meeting when they were already complaining about racism. That's very bold, okay? It shows their entitlement.
They're not here to listen. They're here to just make their statement and leave.
People are forming strong opinions based on social media clips.
It's really sad to see what's going on. The fact that I came to this meeting and I saw someone bring out an Indian flag, talk in an Indian accent.
Hello, sir. I am Sanjay Gutpa. I am transracial Indian.
Sir.
I just want to say thank you for everything you're doing for the Indian community. We need 10,000 more H-1Bs. To stand in solidarity with the Indian community, I've stopped using the city garbage service and I've started throwing my trash outside and pooping everywhere. I love poop. The city smells too clean and it is offensive to me and my culture, and I need it to smell more like poop so I can feel at home. I also asked that we remove all deodorant and soap from the stores in Frisco. Is it offensive?
Now, pay attention to how the people sitting up there are not trying to stop him, not trying to tell him that it's inappropriate. They're not doing anything. They're sitting there allowing him to make a mockery of these Indian people. Okay, please pay attention. So nefarious.
Shout out Vivek Ramaswamy and shout out Kash Patel. We need to legalize public defecation. Thank you. Thank you.
Racist piece
I
of
love
shit.
India. Yeah, fuck you, dude.
And as you can see, this is in 2026. Okay, this is new. Okay, this is something they're still doing.
Very saddening. And that's aside from what I was going to say, but I just wanted to make that clear with everyone that I don't think anyone should be applauding that sort of behavior. And it is quite saddening seeing that in my community. And it truly does make me very emotional. But I feel like a divide has been created, and the root cause of that is misinformation. I feel like there are players that are outside of our community that want to bring this rhetoric in here. And I mean, I'm looking at the audience, the people that primarily made the false claims against Indians. They're not even in this room anymore. They're not here to listen. They're here to just make their statement and leave. Anyone that really wants to learn and be educated and understand the perspective of someone that's within that community, you can come to me, talk to me afterwards, and I'll give you that, because I feel like this sort of information is only spread when you're in your own echo chamber. When you're in your echo chamber of thoughts, and with social media, with all these things around us, we just get stuck within our own thoughts and our own beliefs, and they become extreme. The only way we change that is through communication and through coming together as a community.
So today I'm here essentially to address misinformation about the Indian community that has been stated at previous meetings, the blatant racism that was displayed quite literally 20 minutes ago.
Okay, I'm going to stop right there. I think we've heard enough. Now, I want you all to pay attention, because we know that in the divided snakes, as racist as this country is, they still show Indian people more respect than they show us. Okay, that's what they do. So look at how they're treating them. So you can only imagine how they treat the Black people there. Okay, please pay attention. Now, the next thing I want to go to is this case that happened there with this Black family, what the Frisco cops did to them. I'm going to share my screen.
Hear from the Frisco police chief about 15 minutes from now. He plans to address questions from the community after his officers forced their way into the wrong apartment.
Yeah, we first reported that incident last month, and the Frisco PD says after finishing the internal review, it will be implementing some changes.
But the family at that center of the incident just told Cole Sullivan it's not enough.
Watching it back doesn't get easier.
No one's coming into my house, sir. Hey, sir, what are you doing? What are you doing? Back up.
This is Frisco police forcing their way into the apartment Elvin Turner and his mom share.
Are y'all serious?
Yes. It just evokes anger all over again, because I'm still trying to understand what we did wrong.
Police were in the wrong place. A 911 caller mistakenly thought she heard a woman in the Turner's unit yell, "Don't hit me."
Yeah, you're at the wrong apartment.
It was actually an apartment downstairs.
And I thought, they're going to kill my son right in front of me.
Our actions were out of concern for a victim.
Frisco Police Chief David Shilson says officers had the right to go in, but he wishes they did it differently.
Could have taken the time to say, hey, we cannot leave here until we go in and verify there's not a victim in that apartment.
He says the department cleared both officers after reviewing this incident and their files. Both received commendations for their work saving lives last year. But documents obtained by WFAA show in the past 5 years, the officer who forced his way into that apartment was cleared of 3 other excessive force complaints.
At what point does force complaints become a concerning trend? What's the number that makes it become a trend?
I wouldn't say there's a magic number. I mean, because like I said, we look at every single one of these complaints individually. Out of 11,000 calls for service, it's pretty good.
Shilson says the department will add training and oversight when officers push their way inside.
Considering it a forced entry, it makes it, there's automatically reports that are done.
The Turners don't think that's enough.
I don't think I'd ever trust them.
They say this has changed how they feel about their home, the police, and themselves.
I have so much anger inside of me now. I have so much rage inside of me now, because I'm still battling, why was my word not good enough?
In Frisco, I'm Cole Sullivan.
Okay, so I'm just to give you some insight into that, but also let's talk about Mike Howard, the trial attorney. Now, I've mentioned to you all previously how he did not call any expert witnesses. Now, they had the medical examiner there. The medical examiner, I would imagine that she's a forensic pathologist, because usually that's what medical examiners are as well. Okay, so but here's the thing. She talked about the size of the knife. She talked about the wound, the size of the wound, and where the knife entered and all of that. Now, from the reports that I saw, I don't think that Mike Howard did a very good job of questioning her. Okay? Because for one, there was no reports that he asked her about the trajectory, which is consistent with the victim, or basically how the victim was stabbed. Okay, like what angle was the person moving? Like what kind of positions were they in? Did he have a toxicology report? Okay, because for all that we know, how do they know that there was nothing in the young man's system to have him amped up and acting like a whole brute? Okay, I have questions. Because you see, there's certain things they should be asking. Let's talk about it. A forensic pathologist can be one of the most important witnesses in a homicide case involving a self-defense claim because they analyze the victim's injuries, okay, and explain what those injuries may reveal about exactly how the encounter occurred. Okay, now, here are some ways they could really help. Determine the cause and manner of death, which she did that. Analyze wound patterns, okay? Determine the number, location, and direction of the wounds, okay? For example, a stab wound entering from the front may support a face-to-face confrontation, while wounds in the back could suggest the victim was turning away or fleeing. Now, estimate the positions of the parties. So by examining wound trajectories, the pathologist may offer opinions about the relative positions of the victim and defendant during the incident. This can help jurors evaluate whether the defendant's version of events is physically consistent with the evidence. So let me say this too. One thing about all of this that's real crazy is that, you know, in murder trials, the defendants don't usually tend to testify. The lawyers will usually tell them that's not a good idea. But in the case of self-defense, it is good for them to testify because they have to let, you know, it's good for them to give their own testimony in a self-defense case. Not when you intended to murder someone or it was like you're accused of like, well, you're going to be accused of murder, period. But my point is, I think in self-defense, it's beneficial for the witness, for the accused to testify because they can give the jury a better assessment of whether or not there was intent. Okay? Because they charged him with murder, convicted him of murder, and they did not prove intent. No one could read Karmelo's mind. And by the fact that no one could read his mind and they didn't want him to even testify, well, in that case, the defense attorney definitely should have called in expert witnesses because in a homicide case, expert witnesses are paramount for the defense. Okay, one of the main things that can help your case. All right, so they should have called in immediately a mental health expert. Okay, that's what they should have done to establish, you know, possibly what he was thinking about. What was his mindset? Okay, why was he so fearful? There's a myriad of things they could have done, but they simply didn't do. Okay, there are simply many things that they didn't do, and this was all on purpose, like I told you all. Okay, let's go to. Okay, so now here's the thing. In a stabbing self-defense case, the defense might ask a forensic psychologist, how does a person react when they believe they are about to be seriously injured? Or well, that wouldn't apply in this case. Oh, yes, it absolutely would. Absolutely would. I'm thinking about Austin when he's deceased. But this would be a good question because this could help determine the mindset of Karmelo. Okay, how does a person react when they believe they are about to be seriously injured? Did Karmelo think that he was about to be seriously injured? He likely did. Okay, 4 big guys, more than at least almost twice his size. He's on wet bleachers because it's raining. Okay, he could have fallen down. He may have feared he's going to hit his head. I mean, who knows what he was thinking? I clearly can't guess. But the bottom line is they definitely should have had an expert witness to bring these things out during the trial. Can stress affect memory and perception? That's another thing that an expert could have attested to. Is it unusual for someone to continue using force during a rapidly evolving confrontation? Can fear cause a person to focus on survival rather than carefully evaluating each action? All of this would have been so much, so much help, so paramount to the case. Because the goal is often to help the jury understand what the defendant may have perceived and experienced at the moment the force was used, especially when the central issue is whether the defendant reasonably believed deadly force was necessary. Okay, please pay attention. And he didn't do any of this, but hold on. Let's go to what these attorneys say. Strategic defense attorneys. Now they say why expert witnesses are not optional in major crimes. Why they're not optional, that means they're absolutely needed. They're paramount to these cases. When someone faces serious criminal charges such as murder, sexual battery, aggravated child abuse, the difference between conviction and acquittal often comes down to one thing: expert witnesses. Okay? Please pay attention. Why experts matter in major crime cases. Prosecutors build their cases on expert testimony. They rely on medical examiners, child protection team doctors, forensic analysts, and crime lab technicians to interpret evidence and present conclusions to the jury. Now, when those experts are wrong or when their conclusions are incomplete, defendants pay the price. Now, without a defense expert to challenge the state's analysis, the jury only hears one side of the story. And that's all they heard. They only heard one side of the story because the only one who had a different side of the story was Karmelo Anthony. And he did not testify because his defense attorney told him it would not be a good idea. So here's the thing. This is what should happen in court. Your attorney, as the defense, your attorney is supposed to speak for you. They're supposed to say the things that you could not say. So if he did not want Karmelo Anthony to testify, then he should have said the things that Karmelo, because I know Karmelo talked to him about the case and told him what actually happened from his point of view. So he should have spoken those words for Karmelo. Do you all understand? And he should have had a lot of passion when doing so. He had no passion. Okay, he just said, just really didn't even put up a fight in the closing arguments from what we read. Okay, I want you all to pay attention. He should have gotten up there and talked about how Mr. Anthony feared for his life. Okay, he was afraid. There were 4 huge people towering over him. He'd been shoved. He'd been beaten. He'd been punched. He should have said all of that. Now, if they want to say it's a lie, let them say that. But he should have presented the case as to how Karmelo gave him the information. Hold on, somebody's asking me, are the mods gone? Melo tried to kill Austin because Austin had his hands around Melo's neck. Well, they did say he had him in a headlock. Several people have said that. The attorney was incompetent because he was the best defense attorney in the area. Exactly. We've already established that. Absolutely. Okay. Look at Lord footage. Sitting up here lying, talking about it, left Austin's torso wide open. I just blocked him. Okay. Yes, he had epilepsy. DC Fly. Okay, I'm trying to see if there's any more trolls. Moderators, I need y'all to get on your jobs. Okay, Hunter should have definitely been called to the stand. He was right there. Defense should be disbarred for not calling Hunter. Exactly. He absolutely should have been called. Okay, but Hunter had already told different stories on the news, and that's another thing. Here's the point. Even if he didn't call Hunter, which he absolutely should have, why didn't Mike Howard bring forth the interviews and show that as an exhibit to the court for the jurors to see how Hunter gave conflicting stories when he was interviewed, okay, more than once? You see how this is all by design? I don't really care if the trolls are mad. I don't care what the trolls think. Okay, now with that all being said, a DNA expert, okay, they could have gotten a DNA expert. There's just a myriad of things they could have done. Okay, but anyway, let's continue. Likes up, everyone, please. Like and share. Thank you in advance. Now, let's talk about something. Hold on. Before I get to that, let's talk about Toby Shook. Now, Toby Shook was also one of Karmelo Anthony's attorneys. And come to find out, listen to this. I already told you all how Mike Howard, his lead attorney, was has been voted the best criminal defense attorney in Dallas, Texas for 10 years in a row. But now, when I look into Toby Shook, he's known as one of the best criminal defense lawyers in Texas, having tried more than 300 jury trials. After an unprecedented career with the Dallas District Attorney's Office, because he was formerly a prosecutor, Shook entered private practice to represent citizens accused of criminal wrongdoing by both state and federal authorities. And I want you all to think about that. Think about the fact that this man who was representing Karmelo Anthony, who's accused of murdering a white teen, and he used to be a prosecutor. He's probably sent people like Karmelo, as far as he's concerned, to prison lots of times. Okay, people who look like him. Okay, so please pay attention. You see, he knows from both sides of the fence, from being a former prosecutor to now being the defense. So they set this up perfectly. They were all in on it. Okay, they were all in on it. Now, he's tried over 300 cases and is known to be one of the best. They say Shook's broad experience gives his clients a tremendous advantage during police investigation, grand jury investigation, plea negotiations, and trial. In his 20 years with the District Attorney's Office, Shook tried some of the most high-profile cases in Dallas history. Okay, including the Texas 7 escapees. Did y'all know that? Because I sure didn't. Okay, so he's the one that prosecuted the Texas 7. Okay, serial killer Charles Albright, an AMC grand killer and Darlie Routier case. Shook was named a best lawyer in Dallas in criminal defense in 2007, 2008, 2009, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, and 15. Okay. Leading Lawyers in America by Law Dragon Magazine and named Super Lawyer in Texas Monthly, 2003, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, all the way up to 2022. But they lost that case. They didn't put up a fight. They didn't put up a defense. I want y'all to pay attention. This is how you know it was all rigged. Okay, the trolls can get mad all they want because we're digging up these damn receipts. Okay. They can get mad all they want because we're digging up these receipts. All right? Please pay attention. Please pay attention. Now, with that all being said, need to see the video that they're hiding, says Robin. Exactly, beloved. Exactly. That's exactly what we need to see. Okay? Now, that video actually belongs to the school. Okay, so now with that all being said, let's continue. Hold on here. Hold on. Did he have something? Did you all know that this man represented Amber Geiger in 2013? Shook entered private practice, to represent those accused of wrongdoing. He was appointed a special prosecutor by the Kaufman County murder case, for Kaufman County murder cases in 2013, and has represented clients in notable local criminal cases, including Amber Geiger and former Dallas police officer Brian Reiser. That's interesting. I didn't know that. Okay, but let's continue. Now, here's the thing that I thought was very interesting. Listen to this. Listen to this. DA and Spitfire in Texas. Now, this was reported October of 2010. A Collin County judge and 3 others have been indicted on bribery charges related to her 2008 campaign. Now, the Dallas Morning News called it the latest in a feud between the first-term jurist and Collin County's district attorney. Judge Suzanne Wooten, her campaign manager James Stephen Spencer, David Carey, and Stacey Stein Carey each faced 6 counts of bribery and 1 count of engaging in organized criminal activity. The bribery charges were second-degree felonies punishable by up to 20 years in prison. Engaging in organized criminal activity is a first-degree felony punishable by up to life in prison. Now, you may be asking yourselves, how in the world did a judge get accused of all of this? Well, I'm so glad you asked. Do you know that these corrupt officials down there in Collin County, Texas, brought these bogus charges against this female judge by the name of Suzanne Wooten because they were mad that she won the election? She beat out the incumbent and they weren't going for it. So they all got together and conspired and hit this woman with charges, and she was convicted. Okay, and some of those charges could have had life in prison. I want you all to pay attention. Now, if they can do this to a whole judge, what do you think they had planned for Karmelo Anthony? Okay, and how many more people have they done this to, and we've just not heard about their stories? This is all very interesting. Now, let's continue. So according to the indictments, the Carries are accused of giving Spencer up to $150,000 to fund Wooten's campaign in exchange for favorable rulings in her court. The indictments describe 6 payments ranging from $10,000 to $50,000 that allegedly were paid from January the 4th of 2008 to March 14th of 2008. Wooten's attorney, Peter Schultz, told the Morning News that the judge does not know the Carries and has not presided over any cases even involving them. Schultz called the indictments completely ridiculous and said that they were part of a political vendetta that Collin County District Attorney John Roach waved against the client. John Roach. That's not the judge from Karmelo Anthony's trial, is it? Well, no, it isn't, because this is his father, John Roach Sr. So a bit of nepotism clearly going on. Okay, I want y'all to pay attention. This is a vendetta, okay? A political vendetta. A political vendetta. I find that all very interesting, but let's continue. So Judge Wooten has done nothing wrong, Schultz says. I'm confident we'll beat these charges in court. Now, Keith Gore, representing the Carries, told the newspaper that the case is a politically motivated witch hunt. Okay, David and Stacey Carey are innocent victims of a politically motivated prosecution and look forward to their day in court to clear their names, Gore says. Wooten defeated longtime incumbent Judge Charles Sandoval in the Republican primary in 2008. Roach, who was the district attorney, is also a Republican. Now, in July, Wooten alleged in court filings that Roach was intimidating and harassing her, and that her office was seeking her resignation. The seat of Collin County, McKinney, is about 30 miles from Dallas. Okay, do y'all hear this? Now, this woman ended up filing a lawsuit against them too. Okay, and Judge John Roach, he's also had some issues too. Okay, I have the paperwork on him. So let's look at this. I'm going to share my screen. We're just going to go over a couple of pages. I'm not going to go through this whole thing. But these people are nefarious. Okay, Diane said this system is disgraceful. Absolutely. Absolutely, beloved. Please pay attention. This is all so crazy. These people have a lot going on down there in Collin County, honey. Okay, it's no way in the hell you couldn't pay me to live there. Okay, that's what you couldn't do. You could not pay me to live there. So let's get into it. Okay, so Susan H. Wooten versus John Roach Sr., Christopher Milner, Collin County, Texas, Gregory Abbott. So Governor Greg Abbott was involved in this, you all. And you know, that's interesting because days ago, they also said that Gregory Abbott had something to do with Karmelo's incident, allegedly, and Harry Eugene White. So this is something that they've been doing. They've been setting people up. Pending before the court are defendants John Roach Sr. and Christopher Milner's, okay, CCDAO defendants. Motion to dismiss. Okay, so let's go down and get to the background. As alleged by plaintiff Susan H. Wooten, this woman's a whole judge. And they put bogus, trumped-up charges on her. A whole judge? Are you serious? So what do you think a 17-year-old child is going to do? Okay? Now, so on March 4th of 2008, plaintiff defeated incumbent Judge Charles Sandoval in the Republican primary election for the 380th District Court judge in Collin County, Texas, by a landslide. Okay. Now, the next day, Judge Sandoval approached the Collin County District Attorney's Office to complain about plaintiff asserting that she cheated the election, and he wanted the CCDAO to find a crime against her. This sounds just like Trump. Okay, this sounds exactly like Trump with James Comey when he got Lindsay Halligan. Now, after this meeting, the CCDAO took it upon themselves to, in fact, investigate plaintiff's campaign without the assistance of law enforcement. Wait a minute, what? Without the assistance of law enforcement. So how do you conduct an investigation without the use of law enforcement? They didn't get the police involved? How are they doing the investigation? Okay, you know this is some shady business. Eventually, the Office of the Attorney General, known as the AOG, joined in the case against plaintiff. So the Attorney General was even going against this woman. Wow. The investigation lasted over 2 years before plaintiff was initially indicted on October the 14th of 2010, with the final indictment filed on July the 14th of 2011. Now, the theory of the criminal investigation and prosecution against plaintiff was that a married couple, John Frederick Carey and Stacey Stein Carey, gave itemized monetary contributions to plaintiff through the Careys consultant, who also happened to be plaintiff's media consultant, James Stephen Spencer. The Careys and Spencer were co-defendants in the criminal prosecution. Plaintiff and the Careys were all tried separately and convicted by 3 different juries. They are good at what they do. Specifically, plaintiff's jury found her guilty of 6 counts. This is all trumped up, you all. But they found them guilty. Found her guilty of 6 counts of bribery, 1 count of engaging in organized criminal activity, 1 count of money laundering, and 1 count of tampering with a governmental record. This is a whole judge they did this to. Now, after these 3 trials, Spencer took a plea deal. The Careys appealed their convictions. Now, the Dallas Court of Appeals affirmed Stacey Carey's conviction, but several months later, a different panel determined David Carey should be acquitted on all counts. Both cases were then appealed to the Texas Court of Criminal Appeals. On December 14th of 2016, the Texas Court of Criminal Appeals determined that the Careys should be acquitted on all counts, as the allegations against the Careys were not actually a crime pursuant to the relevant statutes. Okay, Stacey Carey versus the state. Now, based on these holdings, on May the 10th of 2017, plaintiff filed her first amended application, writ of habeas corpus, declaring actual innocence as a matter of law with the 366th Judicial District in Collin County, Texas. On May 24th of 2017, the 366th Judicial District in Collin County granted the requested relief, finding the evidence presented legally insufficient because the allegations, even if true, were not crimes under Texas law. The 366th Judicial District in Collin County further determined that because the evidence was legally insufficient to convict her of the 9 felony charges, there had been a violation of the applicant's due process rights. Didn't I tell you all they violated Karmelo Anthony's rights? Karmelo's getting off on appeal. You can rest assured. Based on this set of facts, plaintiff filed suit on May the 23rd of 2018. On May the 29th of 2018, plaintiff amended her complaint, suing the CCDAO defendants, the AG defendants, and the county for violation of her due process rights, violation of the 4th Amendment, conspiracy to deprive constitutional rights, and malicious prosecution, among other causes of action and theories of liability. That's the thing in Karmelo's case also, malicious prosecution. Now, they'll say that it isn't because they'll say, oh, he was committed a crime or whatever. But if you knew and the evidence showed you that it was actually self-defense and you just do this whole little conspiracy campaign to lie and get him convicted, at the end of the day, that's malicious. Now with that all being said, on September the 10th, 2018, plaintiff filed a response. Oh, no, hold on. I skipped past something. Hold on. Violation of the 4th Amendment a conspiracy to deprive constitutional rights and malicious prosecution, among other causes of action and theories of liability. On July the 30th of 2018, the CCDAO defendants, the county, and the AG defendants filed their motion to dismiss plaintiff's amended complaint, asserting, among other things, immunity. So on September the 10th of 2018, they thought they were supposed to be immune, honey. Plaintiff filed a response to the CCDAO's defendant's motion, okay, the AG's defendant's motion and the county's motion. And on September the 24th of 2018, the CCDAO defendants, the AG defendants, and the county filed a reply. Finally, on October the 1st of 2018, plaintiff filed a cert reply to the AG defendant's reply and the county's reply. Plaintiff did not file a cert reply to the CCDAO defendant's reply. So do you all hear this? This is all crazy. This is all so crazy and clearly nefarious. Okay, I want y'all to pay attention. I'm going to stop it right there. But this just lets you know how corrupt these people absolutely are. This lets you know the links that these people will go to get what they want. This is nothing more than a case of the good old boys, as I've been telling you all. Okay? So, wrongfully convicted district judge alleges malicious prosecution. Now, attorney Susan H. Wooten, former district judge in Allen, Texas, okay, the judge who was wrongfully convicted of 9 felonies has sued the prosecutors involved in the case, alleging they prosecuted her maliciously for a political agenda. Because of those convictions, former 380th District Judge Suzanne Wooten of Collin County had to resign her bench and saw her law license suspended. But last May, a court acquitted her of all charges, declared her actually innocent, and she became a licensed lawyer again in June of 2017. Wooten has now brought a federal civil rights lawsuit against the prosecutors, and that's the same thing Karmelo needs to do when he gets out. She wants to be vindicated. This lawsuit serves as the last chapter in her struggles to vindicate herself and show that what happened to her was wrong and unjust. They ruined her life. This is what Dallas solo practitioner Scott H. Palmer, who represents Wooten, this is what he said. He said her civil rights were trampled on, and she wants to prove that. The defendants are Collin County, we already know who the defendants are. So this is the same thing that they did to Karmelo. Same thing. And I want you to pay attention to the power that these devils have to be able to pull things like this off. Because I'm going to tell you this. This woman had resources and money, I'm sure, to fight these charges. But I want you all to pay attention, because this is what they did to a white woman. So you don't think they can do this to a black teenager? Okay? That's what they did. Absolutely nefarious. And like I said, their dark history of racism and hatred and wrongful convictions, bogus charges, trampling over people's civil rights, this goes way back. Okay, this goes way back. Please pay attention. So I just find it all very interesting. Now, with that all being said, let's get back into that live that we were listening to earlier. Okay, this clip is about maybe 25 minutes, I think, but we're going to listen to the rest of that live that I have for you all that you were listening to this morning. Okay, likes up, everyone, please like and share. Thank you in advance. Okay, C-Stan said Mason Schiller and Alec Adamson, similar story, except Karmelo was black. Really? I never heard of that, beloved. I've never heard of that, but thank you. Okay, I appreciate you. I'm going to look into those stories. And also, let me just tell you all what this reminds me of. This whole thing with Karmelo Anthony reminds me of Emmett Till. Okay, Emmett Till was lynched, but the fact of the matter is, an all-white jury found his killers innocent, not guilty. And they were acquitted. And they only deliberated for about an hour. And that was just to make it look good, because they said after they could have been come out. They just wanted to make it look good, honey. Okay, I'll look these up. Thank you for contribution to the channel, beloved. I appreciate you. Peace, love, and blessings.
Man, wonderful. Very impressive knowledge he's got.
Thank you, C-Stan. You said it happened in Frisco, Texas. Okay, and I'm gonna tell you something else it reminds me of. That movie, To Kill a Mockingbird. If any of you ever saw that movie or read the book, I've done both, and that's also what it reminds me of. This is all so crazy.
God as well. I'm very impressed just hearing him talk, man, hearing what he knows. And you know what I'm saying. Y'all don't come up on a damn panel and just start going nuts, please. You come up and you mute your mic way away because people are speaking. Hey, man.
I'm sorry. Excuse me. I apologize. I'm sorry.
Why would you unmute? You could tell me that after. Look, I can't say what I'm trying to say in verbal language, but I know you pick it up on what I'm saying. I'm very, very impressed with his and mine. Man, you know what? We've come up with some shit. So I want to talk to you today, tomorrow, whatever you want to call it. But look, man, ain't there a way we can come up with some damn body, got some serious money and get that kid out of there until this is over with, bro. God, boy.
You know, that's the goal, country. And you know, it's starting with Karmelo, and I know you've hinted toward this, and I want to just second it and reemphasize Karmelo Anthony, man. We're at the precipice of something great with this case. It's not just a guilty or not guilty verdict. This is about change, right? And what we watched happen with Karmelo Anthony, it can no longer happen. But to your point, country, yes, like we're set. I'm trying to fundraise and do all kinds of things to be able to get finances to them to make sure, or to at least minimally do our part
to keep him protected inside,
to keep him protected, and to get him out of there.
Yeah, y'all be surprised. We're working things behind while we're spending these hours on here. Yeah, we're doing things you just don't have a clue about, y'all. Even I'm doing some things here. I can't say why. And it's like I told y'all, if something happened to me, there's some powerful people here on this end of the United States. Texas is going to fuck around and find out. They're going to find out what these motherfucking Maryland boys are made of up here that wear badges, okay?
Yeah.
Okay, y'all heard what he said. Y'all heard what Country Boy said. Now listen, this is what I forgot to tell you all as well. So let's talk about how they said that it was murder. Okay, they literally convicted him of murder, and they never proved intent. So let's talk about it. Now, here's the thing. I've told you all before that the prosecution establishes intent through acts of mens rea, actus rea, and malice aforethought. That shows intentions if those elements existed. Okay, so they didn't prove that. And because you can't read a person's mind, intent is typically proven by combining direct evidence like a confession with circumstantial evidence such as motive, the weapon used, as well as the defendant's behavior. So we already know that Karmelo admitted to it. He said, it's not allegedly, I did it. Okay, that's what they claim he said. We didn't hear from him to know or verify if he actually even said that, but that's what they say that he said. Now, with that all being said, direct evidence points straight to what the defendant was thinking without needing to interpret or infer meanings. Okay, admissions and confessions, for example, statements made to law enforcement, friends, or family. Okay, so he supposedly made an admission to the coach, or not to the coach. Well, I think he did to the coach as well, but to the officer that he spoke with, right? Prior threats. Now, this is all to establish that it was murder because, you know, these different things, okay? So prior threats, written or verbal threats made to the victim indicating an intent to cause harm. That was not there. There was none of that. Excuse me, digital footprint, text messages, emails, or social media posting showing planning or some sort of hatred or desire to see the victim dead. These are the elements when somebody murders somebody. Karmelo Anthony did not murder. It was not murder. It was not premeditated. He did not lay in wait. He did not plan it out methodically. And also, you all should know, this is why those other three cases that we brought up with Ramirez, Case and Allison, and it was one more, I can't remember the person's name. This is why none of them were hit with murder charges, because there was no proof of their intent. Even though Case and Allison, to me, that should have been murder, but they charged him with negligent homicide, I believe. Okay. But the bottom line is he absolutely premeditated. You literally went home and got a knife and came back and used it. Okay, so that's a whole different story. But anyway, the nature and manner of the killing. Now, remember, I told you all that if he intended to murder him, he would have stabbed him more than once. Okay, that's what he would have done. It just so happened, unfortunately for Karmelo, that he stabbed him right in the heart. So the brutality of the act often speaks for itself. For example, multiple stab wounds, execution-style shootings, or severe blunt force trauma. Clearly, these are things that show a deliberate intent to kill rather than an accident. Now, was there any of that in this case? No. There was no multiple stab wounds. There was one. Then let's talk about actions after the crime. Destroying evidence, washing blood from clothing, hiding the body, or fleeing the jurisdiction indicates an awareness of guilt and purpose. Karmelo Anthony did not flee. He ran straight to a coach. Okay? He didn't try to get rid of any blood because he had blood on his finger. If you remember, the officer noted that. Motive. While not a required legal element, establishing why a crime was committed, okay, whether it was financial gain, for example, jealousy, revenge, this helps the jury understand the defendant's objectives. There was none of those elements, okay? There was no motive other than afraid for your life, okay, or afraid of a serious bodily injury. Now, expert and forensic testimony. Prosecutors bring in professionals to reconstruct the scene and the defendant's mental state. So forensic and ballistics evidence, such as bloodstain patterns, any type of residue, wound trajectories, these all help match the physical reality to the prosecutor's theory of how the crime went down. Psychological evaluations need to be done. Mental health experts may be called upon to evaluate the defendant's mental state, ruling out severe diminished capacity or proving that the defendant understood the consequences of their actions. We know Karmelo didn't understand the consequences of his actions. Okay, well, the coach testified that Karmelo, when he told Karmelo, if he dies, this will change your life forever. And Karmelo said he's not going to die because he couldn't believe it, because he hadn't intended to kill him. Okay, so why didn't his attorney argue any of these key aspects? He did not. Okay, he did not. Now, courts instruct juries that a person is legally presumed to intend the natural and probable consequences of their actions. Okay, for instance, shooting someone in the head or stabbing them in the chest carries a natural consequence. Okay, allowing the jury to infer the intent to kill, whether it was an intent to kill or whether it was simply the act itself. So with that all being said, there was no proof of intention, and I just don't feel like they proved their case. Okay, so now let's get back to the video.
And so for me, it's about progress, man, and moving forward, country, and that's why I do come over here as a means of support and as a means of, accountability one to another. To make sure that we maintain a positive level of accountability, man. Because this is a very serious matter.
You got to reach out there. You got to reach out to our girl Jasmine and tell her to calm down. I tried my best. Look, she's so damn smart. See, that's the thing too, y'all. A lot of us, we've done things you may not know about through our life when it comes to the rule of law, right? Don't make us attorneys. So I want y'all to understand something. I know we don't have a chat comment, but I know they're there in the basement. If y'all hear me downstairs, I need y'all to understand. This is very severe. It's serious. And don't ask me how in the world this is starting to line up. I was just on to this. I knew this had something to do with something major. The way that everything was done. Because I'm going to tell you something. Even though they were wrong for what they did, they left a lot of breadcrumbs doing it. Real quick, I want to tell y'all very importantly, even though the video was carried and altered, it's going to be in a cloud system. Even with, there's Microsoft. Somewhere this real video will be retrieved, y'all. They didn't just get away with this. They only got away with this for now. And that told me that it was easily to backtrack everything and come get these motherfuckers for corruption and malice behavior. But it was a higher up that they had no choice but to take these risks and do all they did. Go ahead, buddy. Go ahead. I think he's on the phone. Go ahead, guys, ladies.
Hey, Country, you mind if I say something right quick?
Nah, brother, go ahead, man.
You know, I just want to make a few points. This case was botched from the very beginning, right? We talked about, I know I heard you mention a little while ago, interviewing the witnesses together in a locker room. I mean,
When I found that out to be a fact today, by the way, yesterday.
Now, did y'all know that? I told you all that earlier. Pay attention. They interviewed the witnesses together in a locker room. Now, I told you all that's very problematic because now you have these kids listening to what the other ones are saying. They could easily just repeat what they've heard or whatever. Okay? Pay attention. They should have had them each individually in a secluded room, isolated room by themselves talking to them. But they interviewed them in a locker room? All of them in there in a locker room together? Make it make sense. Allegedly.
That's just egregious.
That's fucking bullshit, and the dad was there, y'all. The fucking dad was there.
Go ahead. And, you know, in a court like this, go ahead, Shield, you step.
Now, let me say this. If the dad was there, Jeff Metcalf, can you imagine the pressure those kids were under? Can you imagine them not wanting to say anything bad about Austin in front of their father, and he's now deceased? So that likely was all by design. Okay, please pay attention.
So wait, I'll let you finish before I finish.
Oh, no, go ahead. You was already midstream. Go ahead.
All right, I appreciate that. I'll try to be quick. In the murder case, right? In any case, the burden of proof is on the prosecution to prove without a reasonable doubt that the defendant did this. I think the biggest criminal in all of this is the defense attorney. There were multiple opportunities to create reasonable doubt.
Absolutely.
He didn't do any of that. The backpack was taken or not? Was it thrown or not?
Yes.
How could he have his hand in the bag if the bag was thrown?
Isn't that exactly what I told you all? Isn't that what I have been telling you all? The different inconsistencies in the stories from the witnesses. Austin grabbed the backpack and threw it. Hunter said that in an interview. One of the witnesses, maybe more than one, said that on the stand. So how do you say his hand was constantly in the backpack, but then other people are saying the backpack was thrown as if it wasn't in his reach? And also, don't forget that some people said that Austin and Hunter carried knives as well. Okay, please pay attention.
They did not prove that
Hold on. He could have, the defense attorney, they could have said, you know, because I know they know all of this stuff that we now know. If they didn't know the stuff that we now know, that means they definitely didn't do their job. They should have been doing an investigation and gathering facts and receipts. They should have brought in the interviews that Hunter did with the conflicting stories. They should have known that they had a reputation for being bullies, which they did know that, because I have been told that allegedly Mike Howard had that email written by the cheerleaders to the coaches, okay, before the trial. Why didn't he introduce that as evidence to show a pattern of them bullying people, even girls? Why didn't he show that? Why didn't he bring in character witnesses to attest to Karmelo Anthony's, his personality, his character? Teachers of his, former teachers, okay? Coaches. Why didn't they do any of this? Friends and family. They only brought his mother up there at the end for the victim impact statements. This is all so crazy.
Man, you know what? We've come up with.
Hold on, I don't know how this rolled back. Hold on.
Commentary, the performance, what we seen out of Toby Shook and Michael Howard is what we seen. Our eyes didn't lie. I was there every day, right? But we have to look at the record, right, and see what motions were filed, how they were ruled on, what happened in Camara, right, in chambers, right, or ex parte. Those things matter. And but the performance is what it was. And I will never argue against different things that could have been done differently to defend Karmelo. But I want to see if Michael Howard even gave it argument or gave it a shot. Right.
Can I respond to the Shield?
No. Some of the people have seen the video. Okay, some of the people have seen the video. They signed up for it at the school last year at 2025.
Hold on one second. Let me get this in there. I'm going to say something to you all after the research and the very extensive conversation I've had with some.
Now, that would have been very impactful, David. That would have been very impactful. The mother of the life he saved. Exactly. Okay, exactly. They should have brought that person in, but they didn't. They did a terrible job on purpose.
Somebody else that's very legally smart, y'all. I'm never going to mention these names, okay? I can't do that. I don't want y'all to think bad of me for not doing that. I can't. Melo's life matters. Check this out. I will tell you, I'm not done. I'm going to be doing this again today, later on. I'm going to finish, but I've gotten some things, and I'm just going to tell you this. Based on what I'm looking at, I can say this because I don't have a law degree right now. So I'm going to tell you, in my legal opinion, if either defense attorney was not trying to put on a line of defense, based on everything I've read, it's Toby Shook. And I will ask you all on your own. That don't mean come back up on the panel and say this and say that about Toby Shook. You have a right as Americans to go form your own opinion and do whatever the hell you want to do. But I'm just going to say this. You need to go focus on that, and then you may be able to figure out how the defense completely was torpedoed for this kid, where you can clearly argue in an appellate court of a thing called ineffective counsel. That's all I'm going to say. But I'm going to tell you something else. I'm not wanting y'all to be mad at me for this. I've seen enough that Mike Howard actually, when he did what he did with the examiner, Mike Howard was the one that said to the medical examiner, do you believe it's possible? Because, see, the prosecution had the medical examiner up there. And what I was wanting to look at was to see which one asked this question. Because out of this whole defense, now, like I said, he may have a better opinion than mine, and I'm damn sure going to respect it. Mr. Shield may, okay? Or he may come to y'all and say, focus on what country's saying. This right here, this was the best part of any defense, in my opinion, in this trial, was when Mike Howard, well, wait a minute, the prosecutor had the medical examiner up because I believe in A before D, and then Mike Howard got his opportunity. Before Mike Howard got done with the medical examiner, y'all, this is a fact. This is not opinion. I'm telling you, it's a fact. Mike Howard looked at the medical examiner and said, what I argued last week, well, whenever I started these panels, I said to y'all, he said to the medical examiner, do you believe it's possible that Austin Metcalf could have fell onto the knife himself? And you know what the medical examiner's answer was? Now, remember now, a lot of people are going to say it's possible. But when you're dealing with a medical examiner, they speak in terminology just like attorneys. Once they get being attorneys for so long, you hear all this legal jargon language. You don't understand what the fuck they're saying, right? Because it becomes a norm. So when a medical examiner profession, one of the biggest things that they say, I can't rule that out. Focus on those words, please. I can't rule that out. So when Mike Howard did his closing arguments to the jury, at the end, he said, it is clearly possible. This is a fact. He said, it is very possible. You've heard from the medical examiner that you can't rule out the fact that he may have actually unalived himself, right? I'm saying it like that to y'all. The judge obstructed it. The judge did not have ethical right to obstruct that because the prosecution had the medical examiner up there. Mike Howard has a right to cross-examine the prosecution witness, right? Once you do that, you've laid a predicated groundwork for you to be able to go and put it in your closing arguments. Because the only thing you can put in your closing arguments is anything you prove during testimony through witnesses or that you prove through evidentiaries. So, y'all, I've told you, this is the biggest thing for the defense in this trial. Just based on what that medical examiner responded with to Mike Howard, the jury was required to come back with not guilty because that medical examiner responding like that, I can't rule that out, automatically requires the jury to have reasonable doubt. Go ahead.
Now, he's absolutely right. He is absolutely right.
Go ahead, folks.
That was definitely reasonable doubt. Okay? But hold on. Let's go back to the video where the older white lady, what she said. Hold on, beloveds. Hold on. Let me just pull this up real quick.
Here, and you must see this video of this elderly white woman who was outside the court building who claims that she was inside the court building and saw the video, and she has something much different to report than what we're hearing.
Never killed that child. He fell. Yes. He fell on him. And was the clip. And he had that in his.
Now, I want y'all to pay attention because this lady has no reason to lie. This is an older white woman, okay? She has no dog in the fight. She said he never killed that boy. She said he fell on him. Now, Karmelo likely thought he stabbed him because he had the knife out or the tool, whatever you want to call it. But she says clear as day that he fell on him, said he lost his footing.
Yeah, the tool is like a little tool like this, like a screwdriver. Completely, because you're allowed to have that tool as a track athlete to tighten up your cleats.
Yeah. Okay, and he had it in his hand, and the other kid fell on that. I saw him. I saw him.
You said I saw the other kid trip. She said I saw the other kid trip.
That's why
I said he was innocent. She said I saw the other kid trip. That's why I said he was innocent. You may not be able to hear everything she's saying, but the subtitles, read those.
Gotcha.
That's why I've always said he was innocent.
So
now, people have brought up the fact is, what does this elderly white woman have to gain by lying about this, right? She says she was inside the courtroom. We need to verify that. Also, my question, why did Karmelo never take the stand in his own defense? Like, what was this defense team doing? What was Mike Howard and Toby Shook really doing to help Karmelo get off? A lot of this. Why were the black jurors waived? Why is there no transcript? Why are the only witnesses members of the track team? It's just, this is not adding up. There wasn't a single person who admitted that Karmelo lunged at the boys. So it just makes no sense. And the reason everybody is so upset is because literally 1 week earlier, Rick Chow gets off for shooting Cyrus Carmack Belton in the back, gets off for self-defense. And then when this self-defense happens to this young black man, nothing, gets the book thrown at him. I am always here to expose the truth behind the headlines on the front lines. His Secret Service Sam.
Shout out to Secret Service Sam and his due diligence. Okay, now Soul Child says that's why no one knew he was stabbed, because Mello didn't make a motion to stab him. That sounds about right. Okay, that sounds about right. Okay, please pay attention. Please pay attention. This is all so nefarious. To block people from trying to communicate their messages from being spoken out against. Watch these people who block the people from speaking out. To block people from trying to communicate their messages from being spoken out against. Watch these people who block the people from speaking out. I'm not sure what you're talking about. If you're talking about me blocking people from the channel, yeah, I'm blocking people. I sure am. My block game is real strong, honey. If you come here saying something I don't want to hear, you'll get blocked. If you want to speak out, go do it on some other platform, but not on this one. Okay, not if you're going against the grain and trying to troll at the same time. That's not how it goes. All right, so that all being said, let's talk about the use of expert witness again in the murder defense. Okay, from the law offices of A. Randolph Who. Okay? In murder cases, expert witnesses, I just want you all to pay attention because I'm letting you all know that various people are saying this. Okay? Various people are saying this. Now, I'm going to go back to that video in just a second. Okay, now, in murder defense, expert witnesses play an important role, offering specialized knowledge and insights that can sway the outcome of a trial. Expert witness testimony is often the key to building a strong defense strategy, providing jurors with a deeper understanding of complex issues. If you're facing murder charges in South Carolina, okay, that's them promoting their business. But you need forensic experts, as we've already talked about. Expert witnesses in a murder defense can span various fields, each contributing their unique expertise to legal proceedings. Okay, common types of expert witnesses include forensic experts, psychiatrists and psychologists. These are the mental health professionals. Okay, ballistics experts. Okay, and all of that. So please pay attention. The key to successfully utilizing expert witnesses in murder defense is to assert their testimony into a coherent and persuasive narrative for the jury. Each expert's testimony contributes to your overall defense strategy, addressing specific elements of the prosecution's case and bolstering your side of the story. That's what they didn't do in Karmelo's case, sadly. They didn't bolster his side of the story at all. Okay, at all. And even when his defense attorney asked certain questions, you can tell now in hindsight, as we look back on it, and knowing that he's supposedly one of the best attorneys in Dallas, we can now look at it and see that he only did the bare minimum. He did just enough to make it seem as though he's trying to defend Karmelo Anthony. He asked the forensic pathologist or the medical examiner, Susan, what was her name? I forget, but nonetheless, Suzanne Ventura, that was her name, Dr. Suzanne Ventura. He asked her just enough questions, but the questions he asked her helped the prosecution. I want you to pay attention to that. The questions that he asked her helped the prosecution, not his client, and also the witnesses that he called. Those witnesses helped the prosecution. He didn't call one witness that helped Karmelo's case. Who does that? Okay, did he not sit down and talk to these witnesses prior? He didn't interview them. Okay, he didn't have a specific, he didn't tell them what specific type of questions he would ask or whatever. It just seems like he just had these people come in there and they just basically were on the side of the prosecution. Okay, they didn't do anything to help his case. Okay, and I can't help but think that was all by design, like I said. Okay, so we're about to be out of here. I want to give you all a couple of updates before I leave. Hold on. Let's go to this clip, this news report.
Anthony to 35 years in prison for the fatal stabbing of Austin Metcalf at a Frisco track meet last year. And on Wednesday, Anthony's defense attorneys filed an appeal of that conviction. They also asked the court to appoint him an appellate attorney. We don't know the details of the appeal yet. The case has drawn national attention. That's because of the race of both teens. Anthony is black and Metcalf was white. Both the prosecution and defense said the case had nothing to do with race.
Let me tell you all something. Okay? Let me tell you all something. Greta says, great informative live, Queen. You're the best. Thank you, beloved. I appreciate you. Listen, I want you all to pay attention to something. Now, they've constantly been saying the case had nothing to do with race. And then she says that it's achieved national attention because of the teens, one being black and one being white. That's why it has to do with race. But even more importantly, I want you all to pay attention to this, because there are cases where different races of teens and people get into these situations every day. Why is this one so important? Why was this one achieving such national attention? I'll tell you why. I'm so glad you asked. Because a black teen killed a white teen. That's why it got so much attention. Had it been the other way around, this would have been swept under the rug. You may not ever have even heard about it. I want you to pay attention. But they'll sit there and tell us that this is not about race. It was about race from the very beginning. And that's why they've gone through all of this. This is why the legacy media crew has painted the narrative right along with the prosecution. They have only put out information that makes Karmelo look bad. That's all they've done. They've never talked about what a good student and athlete he was, how he was a leader amongst his peers. They've never talked about how he's the captain of the football and track team or whatever. They've never talked about the fact that he saved a life. They've never talked about any of those things in the media because they were helping to paint this narrative. Okay? Please pay attention. Cookie says, Queen facts, you are definitely right. Thank you, beloved. Now let's continue.
Anthony faced up to life in prison for the killing. Life without parole and the death penalty weren't on the table because Anthony was 17 at the time of the killing. He was tried as an adult. The jury found Anthony guilty of murder, not manslaughter, a lesser charge that was also on the table. The two charges are distinguished by intent. Murder means the jury believed Anthony knowingly caused Metcalf's death. Anthony didn't testify on his own behalf. His mother asked the jury for mercy before sentencing. Anthony's attorneys argued the attack was in self-defense, but the prosecution called it a senseless murder. Austin Metcalf's twin brother Hunter and both his parents testified during the victim impact statements. Jeff Metcalf condemned the public's response to his son's murder. Anthony is currently in custody at the Collin County Jail. For KERA News, I'm Caroline Love in Dallas. Yesterday, a Collin County jury sentenced 19-year-old Karmelo
35 years. And then the prosecutor said it was a senseless murder. Let me tell you all something. Let me give you all an example of, in criminology, a senseless murder. Okay, let's look it up. Let's talk about it. Okay, Ashkan says, how many people do you think are waking up? Like what percent? I have no idea, but definitely not enough. Okay, definitely not enough as far as I'm concerned, beloved. Okay, and some black people are still asleep at the wheel themselves. Okay, Kevin says, live Queen, you would have done a better job representing Karmelo Anthony. I think you would have won the case for Karmelo with all your knowledge of the law. Thank you, beloved. Thank you. I have to agree. Okay, I sure could have done a better job than his nefarious attorney who was working against him from day one. But thank you, beloved. I appreciate that. Okay, now listen to this. In criminology and everyday language, a senseless murder is a homicide committed without an objective external motivation. Okay, financial gain or deep personal grievance. These crimes are typically spontaneous, completely unprovoked. Completely unprovoked. Well, this was absolutely provoked, okay, or carried out for trivial reasons, making them particularly shocking and difficult to comprehend. Okay, now was this case difficult to comprehend for anyone? Because it certainly wasn't for me. A classic example of a senseless murder would be something like, a thrill killing. This occurs when an individual murders someone they do not know purely for the adrenaline rush, the desire to experience the sensation of taking a life, or to fulfill a morbid fantasy. Now, this is what they compared Karmelo to. I want you to think about that. They set the tone as soon as he walked in the courtroom. That's what they did. Okay, the prosecution in his opening statements painted Karmelo out to be a monster. The judge helped him and allowed it all to happen. And then the defense worked against his own client. Okay? Kangaroo court clearly. A notorious real-world example of this occurred in California when 15-year-old Daniel William Marsh tortured and murdered a random couple in their sleep. Marsh had no connection to the victims, no prior relationship, and no history of a dispute. He admitted to investigators that he committed the murders because he was fascinated by the idea of killing and wanted to experience the sensation. That's what you call a senseless murder. Okay, not what Karmelo did. You see how they painted the narrative, and I'm sure that the jurors didn't really know the definition of or an example of a senseless murder. I'll tell you another example of a senseless murder, and I've talked to you all about this before a few years ago. There was a case where a white teenager, about 16 or 17 years old, murdered his best friend and his best friend's parents. He would have killed the sister, but he didn't know she was in there because she'd come home from college unexpectedly that weekend. She heard the commotion and fled the house, but he broke into their house, murdered the mother and father, and then killed the friend. They were all in their beds asleep when he attacked them. Now, that all being said, when the police asked him why did he do it, he said because they were too happy. And that's why a lot of racist people kill Black people, because they find that you're too happy. Something about our joy makes them uncomfortable. Something about us laughing and having a good time makes them angry. And I'm talking about racist devils. At the end of the day, these people were envious of Karmelo, and that's what it is. They were jealous of him. And especially, how dare he start talking down on their football team and like his was better. We know Hunter already had rage issues from what the cheerleaders said. He was enraged that day that he harassed them and called one of them a fat bitch in front of everybody to humiliate her. The day that he said his hands were bisexual, so that in fact he meant he would hit a girl or a guy. He didn't care. A whole brute. Okay? Allegedly, they even put hands or had their own mother fearful of them. They say the police have been called to their homes plenty of times. Did you all know that? Because they allegedly intimidated their own mother. Supposedly attacked their own father. Although I'm not going to look down on them for that, because it was likely because he was beating the hell out of their mother, for all we know, because they also say that the father, Jeff Metcalf, was abusive. Where do you think these boys got it from? Everything that I just told you is everything that the defense, Mike Howard and Toby Shook, should have told that jury. Everything that I've said to you today is what they should have argued in court. And they should have done it with as much passion as I had. And you mean to tell me they just sat there talking nonchalantly, asking questions willy-nilly, not calling forward any expert witnesses? Not trying to bring up any cases that may be similar to Karmelo's that have set precedents? They didn't do any of this. And these racist demons want to sit here and act like we're all crazy, like we're trying to paint a narrative. This is something that you would have seen regularly in Jim Crow. But here we are in 2026, and we can see that the BS continues. Now, with that all being said, I'm going to conclude this broadcast because literally this makes me sick to my stomach, okay? That these people have not only come up in here with the whole kangaroo court, convicted someone who was fearful of serious bodily injury or death, simply there trying to enjoy themselves at a track meet, minding his own business, not bothering anyone, having a talk with someone he thought was his friend. But then come along two known bullies who also have been known to have racial angst against people who don't look like them. And I'm sure they learned that from their father, like I said. They came up and started something with him, but all of a sudden he's the provocateur. All of a sudden he's the bad guy. And they're angels. Make it all make sense. The jury should have absolutely come back with a verdict of not guilty because he didn't damn do it. Okay? He didn't do it. He did not commit murder because there was no intent ever. No mens rea, no actus reus, and no malice aforethought at the end of the day. And immediately after, this is how you can tell if someone meant to do what they did. Specifically a child, someone 17 years old. He was crying hysterically. He questioned whether or not Austin would be okay. When told that if he dies, your life will be forever changed. He said he's not going to die. He couldn't believe that he would because he never intended for him to die. He never tried to kill him. At the end of the day, this is all a whole shame. And I want you all to pay attention. The devils can miss me with it being trolls or whatever, being mad and upset. I don't care. Okay, they can continue with the threats that some of us get in our DMs and all of that. I don't care. At the end of the day, and like I said, they can try me if they want to, false flagging channels or TikTok accounts. I promise I'll sue the hell out of your ass, and I can use the money. I've already got a lawyer on standby. Okay, please sit down somewhere. Okay, so now with that all being said, that's right, Colette, justice was not served, but hatred was. Okay, hatred was served. Racial disparity, prosecutorial misconduct, okay, inadequate counsel, conflicts of interest. This is what was served. All of those things is what was served, but not justice. Justice was nowhere to be found in that courtroom on that day. I want you all to pay attention. With that all being said, listen, before I go, I'm going to give you all a couple of updates on the war. I know I haven't been talking about it, but you all need to know what's going on here because Trump had signed a deal or had proposed a deal and they were supposed to sign it on Friday. And as per usual, Satan Yahoo wasn't trying to have it. He wasn't trying to have it. But before I get into that, I want you all to see this. Oh my goodness, I forgot. I didn't even finish the video. I'll go back to it in a second, but hold on. Yeah, let's just go back to the video first. I'm sorry, I went on a whole rant because I'm so ticked off and I forgot that we were watching this video. Hold on, let's go back to a few more minutes.
I piggyback off of that.
Yes, ma'am, you can. Good to see you.
So
Wait a minute, 1 second. Shield, am I right?
I think, I mean, it's hard to say what the trial fact can conclude based upon the instructions given, right? I think the appellate court may take that issue up, right, or they may leave it in the trial fact's hands.
Right, but when it comes to the trial itself, should that have not have been out of the whole trial of defense? Should that not have been what caused the reasonable doubt based on what the jury seen?
I believe it could, right?
Okay.
But I don't think you have to. If we put the scales out there, right, you have to present the weight of the evidence presented by the prosecution, and then you have to put that up against whatever adversarial rebuttal evidence or defense that Mike Howard or Toby Shook raised.
Right. But when you agree,
if that was the only thing that we were considering, like let's put that on a scale, right? If you're saying to me, country, that was the smoking pew against everything else that the state put on, I would say I disagree, right? I think that even if that was something that they wanted to build their defense off of, right? Yes, that would be something that they could have built their defense off of and used that in closing arguments and so on and so forth. But I don't. Where did Mike Howard build upon that point?
Right. I understand.
And see, that's what I was talking about. He didn't build upon any points. He simply nonchalantly asked questions, but he didn't really go deep into it. And he also really, when he questioned those teenagers, okay, when he cross-examined them, he really didn't go in hard enough. Now, I'm not saying he should have badgered them, but he should have made them feel as though they better not sit here and lie. You better not sit here and lie. Do you know what perjury is? You don't want to perjure yourself. Make sure you're telling the truth. Not saying that he should have said that to them verbally, but he should have made them feel that through the way he was asking his line of questions. And he absolutely didn't do that. He made them feel comfortable. Okay, that's what he did.
Right. So he never did he build upon that point once
he only asked the question and he didn't go further into it.
Right. Did he
get some clarity what that meant?
What that meant to Karmelo's defense, right? And so even if the trial of fact considered that point, how weighty was that in their consideration? But seeing what we saw, right, we didn't see Michael Howard or Toby Shook really build upon that point. Right.
They
and
didn't
so
go any
I would
further
also
to establish any more surrounding that.
To further establish the reasonable doubt that you're.
They were right there, y'all. They were right there. All they had to do was go into more questions when the medical examiner says, I can't rule that out. Then you.
Didn't I tell you all that? Isn't that what I told you all? That he should have pressed the medical examiner. He should have asked for a toxicology report. There was a myriad of things he should have done, but he didn't. He just let her basically say the simple things, okay? The things that were most expected, okay? That's what he did. He didn't delve deep into it. He did all this on purpose.
You have a legal right to say to the medical examiner, "Oh, you're still talking? I'm sorry."
Yeah. So,
My bad.
but I also want to say this. This is why the record, and I will continue to emphasize this. Understanding what was done in the record is clear, because there's a possibility that there was maybe some type of restriction from mentioning or delving into certain topics with this case, and those things have to be considered as well. So, and that goes back to the point of, why the performance was what it was, and really reserving commentary on what they did or didn't do properly, because if they argued certain things and they weren't allowed to be delved into in this case, right, for whatever legal arguments that may have been raised or denied, I think we have to see what the record says.
I got you. Look,
Can I respond to Shield?
I'm gonna let you go right after this. I promise. The bottom line is this, y'all. I know what he's saying. I just feel with an expert person up there. But yeah, what they should have done. Who's playing music? Jamila, mute up, Jamila, for me. What the hell?
Somebody snoring, y'all. Do y'all hear somebody snoring? That's because this live was on late. I was up listening to it till about 12:30 or 1.
Okay. What I'm going to say real quick, and then Coach go. I know what he's saying. I wish Mike Howard then would have said, well, can you describe a scenario to why you say you can't rule that out? Utilize the expert witness to paint a picture for the jury, because it's not a form of medical hearsay. If the an expert witness can be like God in a court. I'll tell you why. In an appellate court, when they see an expert witness is up there, any type of expert witness, they actually rise above any witness testimony. All right, go ahead, Coach.
That's absolutely right. That's absolutely right. The expert witness, their testimony is much more thorough and much more impactful in some cases than a regular witness. And also because 75% of eyewitness accounts is not even accurate.
Can I let me say this real quick, Coach.
Go ahead, brother.
So here's, for instance, if we're going to entertain certain arguments, right? When I was informed, someone that, was in the courtroom, they came out and they informed me of that examination. And I think there was a mention of, they'll correct me if I'm wrong. There was a mention of, I think, 1,000 different ways or possibilities, right, that the incident could have happened. And my initial response, because that's all they told me, this person told me, they were there taking notes or whatever. And so my initial response, country, was, well, okay, did Mike delve into those 1,000 ways? Because for me, right, you know where I'm at, right?
Yes, sir.
So for me, in my legal mind, and I'm like, okay, well then therefore give me 10 of those ways.
Exactly.
Right?
Cut it down. At least I'm starting to form the doubt for the jury.
I'm forming the doubt that, man, this thing could have happened 10 different, at least 10. They said 1,000, they described 10. The video is not clear as to what really happened, right? And so the reasonable doubt is therefore formed by way of your expert witness that the state called. So yeah, I get your point, what could have been discussed, but I caution, right, on really being critical of Mike Howard or Toby Shook for
I understand that. I respect that.
Because there could have been some things that they could not mention that could have opened the door.
I know.
Right? So
without going into it, man, I know what you're saying. We'll talk on the phone. I know exactly what you're saying without saying it, right?
Yeah, so to that point, Shield, I want to say thank you for you're 100% right. This whole trial, I've been trying to look at things objectively without letting my emotions get involved, right? That's how you're supposed to do it. You look, you see the evidence, right is right, wrong is wrong. And what I just did earlier, I let my emotions get the best of me because I'm about had it. With the
We're
more I've
all
learned from
getting
this
like
case,
that, bro. We have discipline. We know we do, right? When we're looking at things like this, y'all know we know what we're talking about. We know, but because of how we're feeling now, we're seeing that this could be a large, large matter. Our emotions are starting to set in because we're not doing this because we just want to waste time. We're doing this because we want to save this kid and give him proper justice that he never got.
yep. So
Go
to that
ahead,
shield, I
Coach.
just want to say thank you because, yeah, I should reserve judgment until I do have all the facts, until all those court records come out. But my point still being what you guys just discussed. They could have laid out 1,000 different scenarios of what ifs. That's because there are possible scenarios and they're not ludicrous. That's all I want to say. Appreciate y'all. I appreciate you, country, for doing this.
No, man, we're all in this together, man. I appreciate you. We're all fighting to get this kid safe and get him the true justice. So nobody needs to apologize on this panel. Nobody needs to do that. We're all a team. We're all one movement in this, y'all. We know that this beautiful boy right here was not at all justly done right.
Country, can I chime in now?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. You may. Ladies first. Go ahead.
So I'm a stay-at-home mom and I have plenty of time to scroll on TikTok. And I ran across 2 Black people that were from Collin County today. So one man said that his brother was killed there by his white wife.
Unalive, absolutely. Unalive.
Okay, that's the end of that clip. So she was talking about the guy who was killed by his white wife. Okay, and they don't feel like justice was served. Now, Ashkan says 70% of every eyewitness testimony or 75% of eyewitnesses are 100% BS. Let's talk about it, beloved. I'm so glad you asked. Now, studies show that up to 1 in 3, which will be 30 to 40% of eyewitnesses make an erroneous identification. Now, in the legal system, faulty eyewitness memory is the leading cause of wrongful convictions, contributing to approximately 70 to 75 of cases later overturned by DNA evidence. So I was very accurate because I told you all 75%. Now, with that all being said, human memory operates more like a puzzle than a video recording. Several factors significantly distort a witness's ability to accurately recall events or identify a suspect. Now, let's talk about across racial identification. Witnesses are significantly less accurate when identifying a perpetrator of a different race. The presence of a weapon draws attention away from the perpetrator's physical features, limiting memory. High stress. Extreme trauma or stress at the moment of the crime can impair how the brain encodes the face. Okay, leading questions and lineups, suggestive phrasing by law enforcement or improper lineup structures, placing the suspect with a noticeably dissimilar filters, okay, can easily distort memory. So yes, my point is eyewitness testimony is not very accurate. Okay, not very accurate at all. And it leads to a whole lot of wrongful convictions. Now, mind you, we didn't have that aspect to deal with in Karmelo's case, okay, per se. But the bottom line is this is absolutely why they should have had expert witnesses. Now, someone asked in the chat, and Juju, my moderator, also asked me, if the defense attorneys, if they could be disbarred for what they did. Of course. A defense attorney can absolutely be disbarred for purposely losing a case. Intentionally sabotaging a client's defense violates the fundamental ethical duties of loyalty, competence, and zealous advocacy mandated by state bar associations. So deliberately losing a case constitutes multiple severe ethical and legal breaches. First of all, the one that you all have heard me mention numerous of times, when I say that someone failed to perform their fiduciary duty. Okay? That's one of the main things. Attorneys are legally obligated to act in their client's best interest. Purposely losing is a direct violation of this duty. And that's why I said that the defense attorney, Mike Howard, the lead attorney, he should have been the voice for Karmelo. Whatever Karmelo had in his heart and his mind about what happened that day, and they didn't want him to testify to those things, then the defense should have brought all of that out through his own words. He should have spoke for his client, and he did not. Ineffective assistance of counsel. If a lawyer intentionally tanks a case, it provides grounds for the client to appeal their conviction based on a constitutional violation of the right to a fair trial. Disciplinary action. State bar disciplinary committees, such as the State Bar of Georgia and many others, will investigate such claims. Okay, if proven, they can suspend or permanently revoke the lawyer's law license, and this could also result in disbarment. The attorney could face a legal malpractice lawsuit from a client to recover financial losses and damages. And this is why I told you all previously that Karmelo's family needs to sue the lawyer. If the attorney threw the case in exchange for a bribe or to obstruct justice, they could also face felony criminal charges. They need to be put in jail. They need to be put in jail. Okay, they absolutely do. And I don't know who is going to be Karmelo Anthony's appellate attorney, but I hope that it is one of the cream of the crop and one of the best to ever do it. And if that be the case, he's absolutely going to win on appeal. This conviction is going to be overturned. Okay? I don't even think there'll be another trial. All right? Because this was such a sham. With that all being said, let's go to the video that I wanted to show you all, and then I'm out of here. Everyone, please hit that like button. Likes up. Everyone, please like and share. So this is a video that I reposted on my X account. How they did these black teens at a park because the white folk, some wanton supremacists, said they didn't feel comfortable. So I want you to pay attention to this, because here's the thing. You mean to tell me that all a white person has to do is say they don't feel comfortable and black people are told to leave? Let's talk about it. I'm going to share my screen. Oh, he's going to get an appeal, RG Titan. He's absolutely going to get appealed. That's not even a question in my mind, honey. They may have won thus far, but the war is not over.
Who is uncomfortable, sir? We're fine with them being here. Are you uncomfortable with them being here? They're literally just sitting on the bench doing nothing. That makes no sense to me. They don't want you sitting around, but they don't have a basketball court open for you to do anything. Make that make sense.
Local authorities are facing intense scrutiny after a viral video emerged showing law enforcement ordering a group of black teenagers to leave a public park simply because other patrons felt uncomfortable. The incident, captured by an independent bystander, has ignited a fierce debate over racial profiling and the policing of public spaces. The recorded footage shows a police officer approaching a group of black youths who were sitting and talking in the park. In the video, the officer can be heard telling the teens that they need to exit the area. When the teenagers asked for a reason, the officer stated that other park visitors reported feeling uncomfortable by their presence. A bystander filming the interaction immediately intervened, challenging the officer's orders.
Okay, I like their nerve, because they said they felt uncomfortable. If they felt uncomfortable, leave. If you feel uncomfortable, why are you still here? Okay, please make it all make sense. But let's go to this video that I've been trying to show you all for 2 days, but I keep forgetting, about the water park standoff when they didn't want to let the black people through, even though they had an all access or a fast access pass.
You're touching it, didn't wait in line either. Stop it. You're touching me. Excuse me. Excuse me. I need help. Oh, dude. You're touching me. Yeah, because this ain't safe to be. Your friend. Okay, so we can talk to him. The guy right there just pointing at you. Yeah. You got your friend? I didn't touch you. You touched me. It isn't public. This isn't public. Do you know what you're talking about? What bird do you have right now?
I'm not touching your friend. I was about to say, come on, y'all doing it's kids right here. Just let them pass. If they have a fast pass, just let them go.
I'm just trying to get my cousin.
It's not that serious.
It's that serious. Just stand right there.
Yeah, just,
Y'all better follow these kids.
if y'all got a fast pass, just let them go. Yeah, just. I'm about to say, just go down and go and just go up these steps. It's a fast pass line. Yeah, y'all stay right there.
Okay, y'all saw it. This is what the devils do. They had a fast access pass, but okay, they couldn't use it because the white man said so. Okay, there you have it. I'm white and I say so. Please pay attention. Now let's go to this next clip. This has nothing to do with any of that, but this Iranian fan was warned by FIFA, FIFA, he was warned by FIFA staff over a banned flag at the World Cup match. Now, this was just all a load of BS, but this man was from Iran, and they didn't want him holding up his flag. Other people can hold up their flags, but he can't hold up his. I want you all to pay attention. This is at the World Cup. Let's get into it. This was in New Zealand.
They said in the FIFA, their policy is to put our flag down, and they said otherwise, I'm gonna get a ticket for it. We are showing flag. Just tell to the world, enough is enough.
Are you willing to take a chance on getting that ticket?
I don't care. I'm gonna get my ticket. Over 40,000 Iranian people being killed in just 2 nights. Having a flag and paying for a ticket is the smallest thing I can do for my country. Okay, so
Bless his heart. Those people are so low down. They're so low down. And then I read the comments. Okay, and then some people were absolutely saying that they should have let that man have his flag. Like, what is all that? Okay, just being rude for no reason. Talking about his flag was banned. Anywho, I find it all so interesting, beloveds. But hold on, let's go to Satan Yahoo. Because at the end of the day, Trump's having a hard time because Yahoo, Satan Yahoo, that is, just came out and said that basically he don't give a damn what Trump said or what type of deal Trump has made with Iran. He's running this, okay? That's not what he said, but that's really what he said, not in those words.
Israel is trying to harm the United States. President Trump gave the Israeli leader direct orders to stand down. And this is what the Israeli leader said today. Netanyahu just went on camera and told the world he does not care what Donald Trump agreed to today, standing at a press conference the same day Trump was celebrating his Iran deal at the G7. Netanyahu looked directly into the camera and said, with or without a deal, Iran will not have a nuclear weapon. Not today, not tomorrow. As long as I am the prime minister of Israel, it will not happen. Let that sink in. Trump just brokered a major memorandum of understanding with Iran, a ceasefire deal, sanctions, relief, reopening of the Strait of Hormuz, the whole thing. And the leader of our closest Middle East ally just publicly said he is not bound by it and will act on his own. And this is not the first time. Just days before this speech, Trump literally called Netanyahu and screamed, "What the F are you doing?" after Israel launched fresh strikes on Beirut that nearly blew up the entire deal. If this escalates, there will be thousands of American boots on the ground. Trump then went to the Financial Times and said on the record, Netanyahu won't have any choice. Quote, I call the shots. I call all the shots. Netanyahu does not call the shots. But then Israel struck Iran anyway. They literally had jets on the runway ready for a massive second strike, and Netanyahu only called it off after Trump personally intervened and warned Israel they would be on their own if they escalated. And now today, Netanyahu is back on camera doubling down, saying this is the mission of his life and that no agreement changes what Israel will do. If Netanyahu wants to go rogue, fine. He can do it without our money and without our bombs, because the only guaranteed outcome will be American boots on the ground if Netanyahu keeps disrupting peace negotiations. My name is Will Robinson, and thank you for getting informed.
Okay. Do y'all hear that? And he absolutely is not lying. We're going to go to the video. Hold on. Let me just say this. Some fool named Joe Burdock, I just banned him because he said, you really need to stop spreading misinformation. Honey, there is no information on this channel. Everything that I say, if it's my opinion, I'll say it's my opinion. If I say I can't substantiate it, I'll let you know. But at the end of the day, I show receipts. Okay, where's the misinformation? I show receipts. Okay, sit down somewhere. We have lawsuits. Okay, we have articles. We have videos. We have facts and proof. Okay, so sit down somewhere, hater. You think I care what an ignorant racist has to say? Because I sure don't. Now let's go to what Satan Yahoo actually said. Please pay attention.
במשך עשרות שנים,
He says, for decades, I have been fighting Iran's efforts
נאבק במאמצים של איראן להתחמש בנשק גרעיני.
to arm itself with nuclear weapons. I can define it as my life's mission. Just like that young man said, no
אני יכול
lies.
להגדיר את זה כמשימת חיי. עמדתי בה עד
I have stood by it to this day.
היום, ואני אעמוד בה גם
I will stand by it in the future.
בעתיד. עם הסכם, בלי הסכם,
With an agreement, without an agreement, Iran will never have nuclear weapons.
לאיראן לא יהיה נשק גרעיני. לא היום ולא
Not
מחר.
today, not tomorrow.
כל עוד אני ראש ממשלת ישראל,
As long as I'm the prime minister of is not real, it will not happen.
זה לא יקרה. לגבי לבנון, אנחנו
Regarding Lebanon, we have created buffer zone, a security zone.
יצרנו שטח חיץ שם, שטח ביטחוני, אנחנו נשאר בו
And we will remain there as long as necessary.
ככל הנדרש. איראן רצתה שאנחנו
Iran wanted us to withdraw from there, but that did not happen.
נסוג משם, זה לא קרה. אתה יודע למה זה לא קרה?
Do you know why it didn't happen, among other reasons?
בין השאר, משום שעמדתי
Because I stood very, very firm. Look at him bragging about himself.
מאוד מאוד איתן. הייתי מאוד
I was very, very resolute on this matter.
מאוד נחרץ בדבר הזה, ואני חושב
And I believe our American friends respect this. No, they don't.
שידידינו האמריקנים מכבדים את הנחרצות ואת העמידה.
They respect this determination and stats, this persistence. No, they don't. Trump asked him to stop. Trump doesn't even respect it, but he's too scared to do anything about it because Lord knows they likely have all the Epstein videos on him.
האיתנה הזאת. אנחנו נשארים שם,
We're staying in Lebanon
אנחנו
because
צריכים להגן על תושבי
we need to protect the residents of the north.
הצפון. ההסכם הזה הוא נעשה על
This agreement was made by the United States,
ידי ארצות הברית, על ידי נשיא ארצות
by the president of the United States.
הברית, והוא חושב שהוא יכול
And Trump believes he can truly integrate both the opening
באמת לשלב גם את פתיחת המצרים וגם
of the strait and the cancellation of the nuclear program.
את ביטול תוכנית הגרעין, ואמרתי, זו החלטה שלו. אני חוזר,
I said this is his decision. I repeat, this is his decision.
הוא אומר, זו החלטה שלו, הוא מוביל את זה.
He is leading it, and of course I have expressed
ואני כמובן הבעתי את דעתי
my opinion in various discussions.
בשיחות שונות. בארצות הברית אומרים שהנשיא טראמפ עושה
In the United States, they say that President Trump does everything I ask. He does.
כל מה שאני מבקש, ובארץ אומרים
And in our country,
הפוך, שאני עושה כל מה שהוא
they say the opposite, that I do everything he asks. Nobody's telling him that in his country. He's trying to play it down to act like he's not running the whole United States. Please miss us with it, Satan Yahoo.
מבקש. אז זה לא נכון, וזה
So that's not true and that's not true.
לא נכון. זה יחסים של שותפים,
These are the relations of partners.
שמכירים אחד את השני.
Who know each other many times.
שאני הרבה פעמים אמרתי מסכימים הרבה
As I said, agreed many times.
פעמים, לפעמים לא מסכימים.
Sometimes also disagree. Basically, he's full of crap because Trump's already said that he wanted that deal and he's saying that he's not going to do it. He's still doing stuff that Trump's asking him not to do. And so how is he sitting there acting as though anybody in Is Not Real thinks that Trump's running him? Please. Everybody knows who's in charge in Is Not Real and in the United States, okay? Please pay attention. Now, with that all being said, that's your war updates for today, beloved. I hope everything is over with soon as far as this war with Iran. I'm like literally so sick of it. It's draining the economy. Okay, Satan Yahoo doesn't want it to ever end because he knows what's coming. Okay, he's supposed to be on trial right now. They've postponed it for war crimes and crimes against humanity. Okay, they want him taken out of power. And his only hope is to drag this war out as long as he can. Okay, as long as he can. All right, Ashkan, you're very welcome, beloved. Enjoy the rest of your evening. So with that all being said, listen, I'm going to conclude the broadcast. I love you all to life. I hope you enjoy the rest of this evening. Each one teach one. That's how we grow and thrive. Do something productive, constructive, but never destructive. And always remember, beloveds, to keep the Most High first in your lives. Now I will see you all in the morning with your morning wake-up call. Until then, peace.
Gold all in my skin, God all in my blood, kings all in my circle. You touch one of mine and you're done. They show no love for the queen. Why you hating on me? Is it cause I'm free and I got Malcolm X in my jeans? I got dreams like King Luther, shed blood like Kunsa. You ain't helping my people, I ain't got nothing to say to ya. I want all the smoke like hookah. Talking reparations, America won't be great until they give us compensation. I'm like, I'm the hottest right now. See a bunch of lames out here trying to jock on my style. They be doing too much. I'm the queen, it's too easy. It's like they all at Popeyes, how they be talking so greasy. I just sit back and laugh while these haters get madder. So nefarious how they don't want my pockets with cheddar. I tell them they can do better. These snakes in the grass can leave a bite on your ass, cause y'all be trusting too fast. I got my foot on the gas, other one on they necks. Dropping receipts on haters, you better show some respect. I'm never facing regrets, we only facing the threats. Running through every challenge like a relay, break no sweat. It's a cold game, so I got that blanket with me. Now that my people awaken, ain't no going to sleep. I do not play by my piece, this time I'm playing for keeps. You talking slick, but when I see you like them ends, we gon' meet. And I got gold all in my skin, God all in my blood, kings all in my circle. You touch one of mine and you done. They show no love for the queen. Why they hating on me? Is it cause I'm free and I got Malcolm X in my jeans and I got gold all in my skin, God all in my blood, kings all in my circle. You touch one of mine and you done. They show no love for the queen. Why they hating on me? Is it cause I'm free and I got Malcolm X in my jeans and I got